means truth. So tell me about your spiritual journey.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tattva Tuesday. This is The Conduit. I am Lindsay Warwick on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I'm so excited because I am recording here with my friend Anita Hodges. She's the guest this week on Tattva Tuesday. She is a color and light code activator. So I'm so glad that you're here. We're like on the tan couch together. We're gonna just chat about all the things. So I'm gonna just adjust.
We're gonna adjust so we can see each other.
Definitely.
Yeah, get comfy on the couch.
So Tattva is the Sanskrit word that means truth. Mm-hmm. And you and I are truth tellers.
Ooh, you think?
Yeah. So I guess we'll just start with tell me about your spiritual journey. Like, how did you get on the spiritual path? And whatever you want to share, whatever else comes through. So
I think I've been on it since birth.
Yeah.
So like 3 years old. I'll tell a not so pretty story.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna get a little deep for a second and maybe freak some people out, but that's okay. So when I was 3 years old, I started being abused by a relative. And it's, I was being molested. And most people would be like, oh my God, that's horrible, whatever. I'm grateful for it, which makes me sound a little, wacky. But because when I was 3 years old and the first time I was getting molested, the angels came and took me out of my body and took me to Father, Mother, God.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to sit there with the angels and Father, Mother, God and not be in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So I really was disconnected from myself. So it wasn't like I was going through it. And I got all this great advice and wisdom and tidbits of knowledge given to me at such a pivotal young age. And basically I knew, the existence of good and evil. God and angels were real, and that there was definitely everlasting life, that we were energy that went on and on and on and never ceased to end, that we were part of the source. And that is a gift from God. That is the gift of infallible faith. So no matter how bad things got or how rocky things were, I never had to wonder or doubt if it wasn't a higher power.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And immediately as you're telling the story, I go to, have you ever read the Sophia Code?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So the Sophia Code is a channeled work by a woman who goes by Kaira. Mm-hmm. She works with Isis and basically the Rose Priestess lineage as well. Mm-hmm. But she talks about like leaving her body when she had experienced abuse like that as well. So I mean, it's like, it's insane how we go through these things, these horrible experiences, and then that could have turned you towards a darker path.
Absolutely.
But instead you're saying that you have the gratitude for that now.
I always did.
Really?
Yeah, because in my dark, I was not a person that was easily liked growing up. Blah blah black sheep. Even though I'm still exactly who I've always been.
Yeah.
It's just a mirror trigger of the empath.
Mm-hmm.
Always been a problem with me. Not a problem, anymore because I see what it is and what it does. Mm-hmm. But it was always a problem growing up. So at many times, my only solace was talking to myself, which I later learned was clairaudient, and it was my spirit guides and my angels and all that kind of stuff. But at that time, I didn't know that. And so I was always like, God was my best friend.
Yeah.
God was my best friend. I talked to God all the time. I talked to God driving down the road. I talked to God before I went to sleep. I had dreams with God. God took me out of abusive situations. So it was always about God and the light. And it was like I just instinctually knew that we have the choice to make
Mm-hmm.
whether to reside in the darkness or whether to realize that the darkness disappears as the light appears. And that was just instinctual for me. So it was just something that just came natural and always has been.
Mm-hmm.
I always looked at stuff like, why I didn't sit there and go, why me? God, why me? Why is this happening to me? I don't understand. Why me? I never did that. I sat there and said, damn, I'm a really old soul and I am really freaking stubborn and hard-headed because I chose everything that I've gone through. And I knew that at 3 years old, I chose to be molested. Who chooses that? But it was to break karmic ties. It was a family molestation. So it was to clear a karmic contract, to break a bad thing that was continually happening. I broke the cycle. It ended with me. It didn't go any further. I chose to know that that's not how I wanted someone else to feel. And that's what I always, with the hard, like I'm a hard-headed soul. So I always said, damn, I hope that I get the lesson this time because I chose all these hard, difficult things because I'm hard-headed. But through them, I would always grow closer to God, closer to the light, and be grateful for all that I was blessed with beyond the happening of whatever was dark. And know that that was true gratitude and true, enlightenment at the same time. And I wanted to get the lesson from it. And the lesson is, how do you release it, forgive it, let it go, and use that as a tool to know that you don't want to make another human feel that way.
I mean, that's pretty amazing. And you had that insight when you were young?
Yeah.
Just like right off the rip?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Pretty
and
much.
I want to hear more about like some of your other like spiritual experiences, because I'm sure then was there a lot more suffering after that?
Oh, there was many, lots of abusive stuff. But yeah, it's just crazy, and it's a miracle I'm alive because I put myself into some really dangerous situations, but always ended up coming through with light. Like I put myself into dark places because there were people there who needed to be helped to the light. And so it didn't, I mean, a lot of this is like, a lot of it I knew back then, but a lot of it is like looking back and going through shadow work and recovering and doing all that kind of stuff and being able to look at it and say, oh, I had a moment of synchronicity like last year.
Yeah.
And that's really what catapulted and made it to where it was like, so that's why this happened. So that's why that happened when I was 7. So that's why that happened when I was 11. Like I didn't question it. I just accepted it and then moved through it and released it and just took the blessings that I had and was gratitude, but not really understanding the full lesson that I was getting until that synchronicity moment. And I could look back and everything was like, hey, this is your life. Like this is the story of your life. I mean, I moved to Myrtle Beach when I was 19. I had somebody chasing me around the kitchen and causing love as a waitress. And I was like, I can't do this. I ended up at the dollhouse as a cocktail waitress. I ended up with a motor blown up in the car. We had a female manager and I got persuaded to do the amateur contest, which I had to be completely drunk to do. And then they're like, well, if you don't like it, go back to waitressing in 2 weeks. So I did it for 2 weeks, drunk every night, underage, paying my fine for being drunk underage and miserable. And then it was like at the end of 2 weeks, I was like, I can't do this. And they're like, oh, well, we have a new rule. You can't be a waitress anymore.
What?
Yeah. And then I ended up, so I went to Hooters for a while, and then I ended up getting sent to Minneapolis supposedly to be a cocktail waitress, but I get there with no plane flight home, no place to stay unless I pay for it every night, and I'm a stripper.
Okay.
And those girls were not nice like in the South. So they taught me how to hustle. But it was very clean and not what you consider it today. You know what I mean? It was like, I almost look back at like, man, what a life. You know what I mean? Because it was like, it gave me power over men.
Can you go into that more? Like before we recorded, like we were just talking about like the goddesses that we feel in most connection with. And for me, I'm feeling it's Kali Ma. probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me.
That's who I feel it is. For her.
Yes. I have the catalytic converter at transformative
Yes.
energy.
Yes.
Like when I did my Akashic journey, I saw myself holding lightning bolts, and Kali Ma is the destroyer.
Yes.
Like
So
of
there
the
you
ego for the highest good.
Yeah.
And Anita's is Lilith. So let's talk about
walking in darkness
journey with Lilith and also how you learn that lesson in that environment.
It's so funny because in that environment it was a family of damaged women, and everybody was searching for something without knowing they were searching for something. And for me, like the abuse turned me into promiscuous. Basically, it took away my ability to say no. I felt like I couldn't say no. And that time of having the power over men, like literally, they're not touching me. There is no couch dance. We didn't do that crap. We danced like arm distance away and their arm distance away. We danced like this. Seriously. I spent more money sitting down more time sitting down talking to people, making my money that way. Like people would pay the DJ to take me out for rotation. I'd get the one guy who loved his wife, who just wanted to have a conversation because he was bringing all of his colleagues, because that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
And so I ended up being like, they would call me the face girl, because I would give face. I would sit and talk and tell jokes and help them. And that's what I got paid to do. But it was the other people that were more damaged that I interacted with that I helped advise and help lift and help motivate to get out of it. You know what I mean? It's so funny because that group of girls is like, they're all amazing, trailblazing women that have done phenomenal shit in their life that maybe would not even want you to know that they were a stripper once.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I always say if I ran for politics, it'd be no problem because I would just have a billboard with all these skeletons lined up and put everything I've ever done on the skeletons and be like, okay, so there's my skeletons in the closet. Can we talk about the real issues?
Yeah.
Because I just put it out there because I don't care. I am who I am and I'm open.
And there's no shame.
And there's
in that.
No, there's no shame. And I think Lilith is what helped me walk through the darkness. Because I was so like, I'm such a light being, but I'm so skilled in the dark. Like I can go into the worst, most dangerous place and walk out of it and actually change the perspective of the people around me because I'm a conductor. I'm a generator.
I think you're also a converter.
Yeah, I am.
I mean, in the Mayan, you're a blue, which is a transformative tribe.
Yeah. So it was just bringing light in the dark. And I think that's like part of what my purpose is to bring the light in the dark.
And I feel like without knowing your own darkness, there's no way that you're really able to help others with their own.
No, I don't let it out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Like me and Lilith, we're tight. And so yeah, like I'm very controlled and very well, I just reside in light. I just refuse to go to the dark side because never dance with the devil in the dark. You're never gonna win.
Right.
I learned that really young.
Yeah. And with just everything that we've already said, it's like I've talked about this, I think, with Dan on our podcast. Of course, about the Darth Vader story.
Right.
It's like he was this amazing Jedi who chose to go to the dark side. And I feel like that's pretty much how it could be for anybody because we all have free will.
Exactly.
So it's amazing that you've had this type of upbringing and like young adulthood. But it was then now you've chosen to just like literally like channel light codes and activate people.
I didn't choose.
And honestly,
I didn't choose.
And make people feel gorgeous. Like
I love doing that.
Anita does my hair and she's amazing.
I like to bring what I see on the inside because when I see people, I don't see the meat sack.
Yeah.
I see the soul.
Yeah.
And so I like to bring the perspective of what I see in the soul out so that you can see what I see. And so everybody else can see what I see and illuminate it with light.
I love that. Yeah. God, the beginning of this year was such a hard time for me. And we did my hair, it was like March?
Yeah.
April? It's been a while.
We're doing it next week. So it's
so
time.
Excited. But yeah, that whole experience, like just getting to know you. Like, so I forgot to say how I know Anita. So
Oh yeah, this is fun.
I basically just saw her stuff. So she tie-dyes light codes, and like I can see like the beings in her work.
They always come through.
Yeah, they always come through. And I just saw, I don't know, someone must have posted something, or you just came up on my feed, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, who are you? I was like, there's an alien in there. And then we just started.
And then we were at Hanson Sarah's.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just friend requested you.
Yeah.
I love your shit. It's awesome. We're going to get to know each other. And then it was like, then we were at Circle.
Yeah.
Then after that, we were at Co-Alliance or Coalescence.
Yeah.
Coalescence. And we ended up in the same big group.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you contacted me because you said, when you spoke today, it felt like you were speaking to me.
Yeah, because you were talking about giving away your power.
Yeah.
And not giving away your power.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you talked, I remember in the Coalescence mini circle, I felt like you were looking right at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this person? It's like, you know, Spirit was just like, you need to get to know this person.
And then I did a pop-up at Brick House. That's when you met Dan.
Yeah.
And like literally I just got my Larimar necklace from Sarah that night because I forgot to wear my necklace. And I was like, oh, I forgot to wear it because this is supposed to be mine. Just hand it to me. And you're like, we were in Atlantis together. I know we were in Atlantis together. We're sisters. I know this. I was like, okay.
And then you did my hair, and we've just been friends ever since.
Yeah.
And just, it's been amazing getting to know you. And I love your work. And obviously I love, like, she's just helped me grow and helped my hair grow, and just amazing things. And then we also did a podcast, Dan and I, because her and Dan have a podcast. So we did the 333, and that was
the DNA wake up.
So yeah, DNA wake up.
We were off the chain with energies that day, which can we talk about the chain and the energies? Because today, like, we're having like a pre-meet. We don't want to be social. We're not feeling it. Like, the energy's all like chaotic right
it's Labor Day today as we record.
Yeah.
So I do record this in one take, but it is not live per se. Like, we're recording. It is, it'll air tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's airing on a Tuesday, but we're recording on Labor Day. And I came to Anita's house, and I was like, I don't even feel like socializing. I have 2 parties to go to today. And I'm just like, but let's talk about how we're still showing up.
Yeah.
Because even if we don't want to, we made a commitment, and we're going to show up for the collective. But it's okay to show up however you show up.
That's it. It's like, it's okay to come when your energy is not the best. Like, you know, I think so much when we record this stuff, like, we're on fire, our energy's enlightened, we're trying to get that peak moment. And let's face it, as the collective and the individual, we've been going through shit for a couple of months now, ever since May.
Yeah. Well, for me, I feel like my whole earth shook on February 10th.
Without a doubt. And stuff that happened before that. But honestly, since May, it's been like, whoa. Can we get a break here? You know, like, astrological and energies and downloads and pitches and all that good stuff, you know. So but we were talking about, like, when I knew. So I've always known, like, I came into existence with these night terrors, and I used to have nightmares too. My parents had to give me, like, suppository tranquilizers, and I also used to have a birthmark on my leg that was hair. Whoa! And in my last life, I was burned. Oh. And so I knew what the dreams were, but I also knew to rationalize at 2 years old that I can't speak this because they'll put me in a crazy ward if I tell them what the dream was. So I was like, okay, just don't say anything. And so I woke up this time in 2008 when I made a decision to leave my ex-husband and put myself first. Because I realized for 18 years, I had been trying to be somebody I wasn't to make somebody else happy, because I triggered everything in him. And so everything about me, he hated, you know, and wanted to change who I was as a human. Yeah. And so I played that game for a long time because we had a child. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm writing the same thing in my journal every year. And it's like, pretending to be somebody I'm not to make somebody else happy and they're still not happy. So that's the pure definition of insanity. I'm teaching my then teenage daughter how to be mistreated, how to have someone want to change everything that's authentic about her and accept it, and how to live loveless. And I thought, no, this is not the lesson I want to impart. And so I made a decision on September 4th, 2008, that I was going to put
September
me first.
4th?
Yeah, 2008.
That's soon.
Yeah. It was yesterday.
What is today?
The 5th.
No,
it's the 4th. Today is the 4th. So
wow.
So to September the 4th, 2008, I made a decision that I was done in the marriage and I was going to start plotting my escape. And
happy anniversary to
yes,
you.
and I was going to start thinking about it. Well, so today's actually John, my husband, my now husband's sobriety anniversary,
I love
15
that.
years. Because at the same time, so I met John when I was in junior high. I was 14, he was 15, and the first time I met him, I shook his hand because he was somebody else's boyfriend. And I instantly knew I was going to marry this man someday, that he was my person, instantly. But I was introverted and shy, and so was he. And then, we had a hookup moment in our 20s when I worked at that club. Only person I ever took home to the club because questions had to be answered. And I even gave his uncle, who was somebody who came to the club on a regular, I even gave him a letter to give him that said, when you're ready for the rest of your life, give me a call. Because that was destiny. And so 18 years goes by, and on the same day that I just made the decision to love myself and to get out of this bad situation was the same day he entered rehab and got clean and sober.
Oh my God.
We both spent.
I didn't know that part of your story.
I know, this is fun. So everybody else gets to hear it as you get to hear it for the first time. So we spent 9 months on this pivotal journey of inwardness, of loving ourselves, like unconditionally loving ourselves. And both of us were praying for God's will in our life. I wasn't praying for a person to come in. I didn't even know where John was, even though I thought about him, for years. But I didn't know where he was on the planet Earth at that time. Come to find out, he's in our hometown and actually back at his parents' house because he had an accident. And so, he was like, Teddy was right. Destroy all technology. He hated computers, phones, still does. He does not answer the phone. I'm sorry about that. You have to text me and we'll get him to respond. But so a friend of his was like, his mom had him go on a dating site. And his friend was like, who was in a halfway house, and he was trying to help him like he had been helped. And he was like, dude, let's just make you a Facebook page. And he's like, I don't know what the hell that is. And so I'm 2 states away, no friends in common, because he just signed up for Facebook. And I'm the first person that's back on Facebook would say, welcome to Facebook. You might know this person.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the first person that popped up with someone you might know. So he sent me a friend request. And I'm like, well, hey, stranger, I don't think I've seen you since the summer of 92, which was the hookup time. And he's like, July 3rd, 1992, some summer nights you never forget.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, this is a conversation that needs to be had. And so we talked on the phone, like we messaged, and then we ended up talking. And this is the man who said he hated the telephone. He'd be on the phone with me for 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand how pivotal that was until after I married him. And I know he hates the telephone and he sucks with it, but he still always answers my call. So that 6 hours on the phone with him is huge.
Yeah.
Anybody who knew him, that's huge. And so we talked for 6 weeks, and then I went up for a girlfriend's 40th birthday party, and I ran in, we decided to meet each other. I didn't know about it.
How old were you then?
39. He was 40.
Okay, there's hope for me.
So he was 40, never married, never
35.
40, never married, never proposed, no children. And I came back to work and I told everybody, I found my blue unicorn. So you guys y'all are looking in the wrong place. They're not here in Myrtle Beach.
Well, I love that you're praying for God's will, both of you, because that's kind of like where I am right now. It's like, honestly, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much where it was. I didn't give a fuck anymore about the external. I was only caring about focusing on the internal. And so it was like I went to see him, and it was the 3rd day I was up there, and he was working in between his nurse. And so on the 3rd night, we were walking around for my girlfriend's 40th birthday party, and he asked me to marry him. Mm-hmm. That's his grandmother's ring. It was his great grandmother. Yeah. And literally, so that was May 7th, 2009. You remember what I signed in with for your computer?
Yeah. Oh,
That's what that is.
Okay.
And so we did long distance until September the 4th. And he moved in with us. He moved into the apartment with us September 4th. So we closed on this house November the 23rd, like the day before Thanksgiving. And this house was set to be auctioned off the day after Thanksgiving. We closed on it and moved in. And then my divorce was final like around the 7th of December. And then we went, so literally, like my paralegal was one of my clients, and she said, okay, you're divorced. Because in South Carolina, you don't have to go to court, and they just strike a gavel. There's no papers to sign or whatever. And so she called me. And so at 2:00, we went to probate and we got a marriage license. And 3 days later, she married us in this living room.
Oh my God.
And then we had a wedding like in April for the family because he had never had a wedding. And everybody wanted to celebrate. But the whole time we were coming together, like crazy stuff was happening. And it was like we were both so connected with God and so caring of ourselves at that time that we'd be like, okay, so if this isn't your will, then show me a sign. And God would send signs that it would be 100% will. And it's because he's my twin flame, you know. So I didn't paint, I didn't do tie dyes, I didn't make jewelry, I didn't do any of this stuff until we came together.
Oh wow. Because
John made me feel like I could do anything. Like he would call me his angel, and just to have that true love that you're supposed to have, like with the twin flame. It's like, and trust me, we didn't come together before that because we were both damaged. You don't want to be with your twin flame before you learn unconditional love for self, because it will be a damn shit show. Like up in flames, won't work out, and you'll just be in another lifetime trying to connect. You want to come together when you have that absolute love for self, when you're healed and whole, which is why I keep telling you what I keep telling you. It's from life experience, many life experience. And so
what do you keep telling me?
I keep telling
you. Because maybe
you,
someone else needs to hear it.
I keep telling Lindsay that she needs to not be with anybody right now. She's 6 months in, and she needs to honor that 6 months to get out to that 1 year point.
Sobriety.
He broke the rule. It was 9 months. I didn't even know that he was clean and sober until like I was up there. He wanted to tell me in person, not something he wanted to say over the phone. And I get that. And so the first thing I responded to him was, wait a second, you said September the 4th? I was like, well, that's 9 months. You're not supposed to be dating me. And he's like, oh, you know that. And I'm like, I don't have an addictive nature, so I've never been in rehab or I've never been in a program. I just choose not to drink alcohol because it's a tool of dark, and I don't like the way it makes me feel.
And it's poison.
It's a tool of dark. It's not a tool of light. I'm all about tools of light. So that's a whole nother category. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. We could have some Terrence McKenna talk sometime, but yeah, because me and Terrence, we buddies. But yeah, so I just don't like it and never really liked it, and so that's not a problem for me. But when he told me, I was like, you know, and he's like, but you don't know anything about AA, blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, but I've read books and I've seen movies. I know the 12 steps. Come on, you know, you're not supposed to be, you know. So it was an exception. It was not the norm. Yeah, and it was just because it was us.
It's just so crazy for me to think back on my journey as far as sobriety goes, just in and out of trying to be sober since I was 17, basically. And even just thinking back to this time frame last year, you know, trying to do it like completely on my own without the help of, you know, community.
It takes a village.
Because like AA is wonderful, it's supportive, and it's a community. And then it's a program of light.
It's principles.
It's shadow work.
It's their principles are light based.
Yeah, it is.
So
it's pretty amazing. It is. So who I am today, September 4th, 2023, is a very different woman than September 4th, 2022. Even a different woman from a month ago. Yeah. Like, because it is kind of like a rapid transformation.
It's an ever.
It is easier for me to say, shut the door now on things that aren't going to feed my peace. I was actually having this conversation with someone. I mean, I have conversations with you all the time.
I'm sure we've had this conversation.
Yeah, but So I kind of feel like I don't know if I should share this story on the podcast or just tell you after we do record, but basically
Now you got them
okay,
wanting
fine. I basically met this
I
guy
was like,
who
poke.
seemed to be amazing. He is probably amazing, but we only spent time in a public setting once.
And he went with the energies.
And he basically like we've had some communication, text messaging and such, no phone conversations, just texting, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And I had asked him a question about like, well, what do you do for a like not that what do you do for a living question, because I kind of don't like that.
Yeah.
But like,
that's putting the emphasis on money.
He seemed to be very, able to travel and do all this. And so I'm a Capricorn sun, and so I wanted to know, like,
how'd you make that happen?
How are you making this happen?
Because I want to know how to make that happen.
And he, he's avoided the conversation several times. And so finally I just said, I'm not really into the wishy-washy energy anymore. I was like, take care. I enjoy, I wish you the best.
Right.
And then nothing happened. Like, well, he said, so be it to me. And then he ended up reaching out to me yesterday. I mean, the text message was probably like physically this long.
I saw it.
And in that, this man says a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And tells me he loves me, in which case I blocked him immediately.
She ran.
Which in the past I would say, oh my God, this is so romantic. Like, he totally loves me. Or like, I've had people that I've been with in a week, they tell me they love me, or in 2 weeks, and I'm thinking this is normal behavior. But yesterday I was talking about this with Pants and Sarah and Stevie, and they're all like, what the fuck? You definitely have grown, because I was like, yeah, that terrifies me. So
does it terrify you because you might actually?
It terrifies me because he doesn't know me well enough to say that I love you. Like, I look back on my recent relationships and I'm like, that person doesn't even know me.
In this meat sack, but he may know you etherically from past lives.
Now you're challenging my beliefs.
I know, but isn't that what I do with you?
Yes.
But I mean, like,
but to me, that's insane.
I'm in a marriage of 14 years that seems like it should be insane. Like, everybody around me thought I lost my mind. Like, they were like, whatever. And, what are you doing? And I was like, no, you don't understand. This is because it is. And it's that twin flame. And it was like, so I go see him. I spend the night. And I literally am laying there sleeping in his arms. And I was like, sheepishly going, I think he might be my person. And he's like, what did you just say? So at that moment, I was like, Lilith up in roar, because I was like, I'm not bullshitting around. I'm bullshitting around for 18 years. If this is legit, then I'm going to say what I feel and run, please do me the favor and run. Let me just clear the air. And so I said, started to say was, I think, let me rectify that. I know you're my person. And he said, I can't believe you said that, because I was getting ready to say the same thing.
So I guess that if it was in alignment, then it would make sense.
But if you're not feeling it, but I'm wondering, so let me play devil's advocate for a second, Lilith. I'm wondering if,
like, he met me one time.
I understand that. I shook hands and knew I was supposed to marry him. So I'm from a different realm.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not fucking incredible and amazing. If you've been in my physical presence, you are aware of this.
Here is my thing, catalytic converter. I know. So here is my thing. So he may be at a more healed place, which is why you said, fuck no. And you're working on the healing. You're so much healed, but you have so much more to go. Like, that's why I'm like, take the 6 months and be solo.
I feel like the last person I was with, like, I was drunk pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
I feel like that person, God rest, not rest, whatever he's doing. I'm just like, that person doesn't even know me
anymore. No,
I don't even know that person.
No, you don't.
It's
because you're not the same.
No, but I don't know. This wishy-washy,
I think-
floater guy.
But
like,
I got another insight on that. I think too, because he does drink.
he does drink.
And I don't think you're really ready for that. Like to be.
I don't really want to be with someone who drinks frequently.
Yeah.
And I get the vibe that he does.
Yeah.
And
I think that's really I think that's, I'm just giving you my little, insight. I think that on a subconscious level, your breaks are because you're not to the point in your sobriety where you feel secure with someone else's choices and not being influenced.
I think it could be that also. I don't like the fact that I asked a question and it was,
I don't like
answering you. I'm not going to answer this. Go get triggered.
Well,
that to me is rude.
John Hodges avoided some questions until we were face to face because there were certain things he wanted to tell me and look in my eyes.
Which makes sense.
He did not want to deliver that message over the phone because it's not going to read right.
But and I guess too, the old me, like, since we've mentioned Lilith, right? The Lilith Eve dichotomy is like Eve was like the whatever, and then Lilith is that energy, that stereotypical other woman type energy.
The female.
Which I've talked about this other woman type of energy before, and how do we heal that other woman type of energy? And I just was
embrace it.
Talking about this with my friend, like, because that whole conversation got started by me saying that I know I'm a different person because I feel like back in the day I'd be like, oh my God, this is so romantic, and now I'm questioning it. Now I'm like, that's fucking weird. You don't really know me that
35,
well.
25.
But also
25, you take it to a client and see, or 35, you go, well, what's your angle?
Yeah.
What are you trying to get from me?
And then like the insanity is so unattractive to me now. Yeah. Like a recent scenario that I got myself involved in that I'm not going to put on here, but
no, we're not going to validate
I have chosen, like, I don't want any part of that insane chaos where before my other woman, Lilith, whatever it was, I would
feed it on.
I would opt to be, but please pick me. And now it's like I can't even listen to when a man badmouths a woman that he supposedly is with or loves or is in an open relationship with or whatever.
Let's ask that question. How many females do you think actually agree to an open relationship? Are they in an open relationship in their knowing, or is it all in the man's head? That's the question.
Yeah, honestly.
Because I don't think she knows.
Yeah, but the old me, there was something that I must have been gaining from that level of attention.
I think it's
because I think, I can fill all the voids or something, but that's not real because we have to fill them within ourselves.
I think it's being chosen. Being chosen.
Well,
over
also,
someone else. It's an ego.
Is love being chosen?
No, love's just love.
Let's talk about that, because this whole idea of being chosen, I think, is prevalent it's been prevalent in my life. Like wanting to be chosen. And
I got a great synopsis.
This is probably the deepest and like more revealing than I've ever been on my own podcast. Like, I wanted someone to interview me, honestly, because there's so much that I've been through.
I'd be happy to interview you.
So much wisdom. This is probably the most honest. Not that I'm always honest on the podcast. I'd say that this is probably the most revealing of my own self, because I guess it's just fucking time, Venus is direct now. It was like this whole, I was talking to Sarah Nicole about this yesterday. Like yesterday morning, it was just like that's what I felt like. I was like, oh, great. What am I doing? Almost like February 10th, where I said the Earth shook, when I decided, I woke up at my ex-boyfriend's house and I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I started crying, and he was like, babe, are you okay? And I was like, well, what the fuck am I doing here? And then, crazy things ensued and ended up, February 10th is my sobriety day.
Yeah.
I say that's the day that the earth, and it was like that happened to me with the situation yesterday,
Yeah.
where I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
I was waiting for that because I've been prodding it a little
She's
bit.
like, I
want
don't have
her to
no
get there.
comment on that.
I'm
But that,
like, if you're happy, I'm happy.
but Anita's,
and I'm just,
that's true friendship right there too.
yeah, it is.
Like loving me
Yeah.
as I'm going through my things, not abandoning me when
like
I need
like
you the
accepting
most.
when she's like, yeah, I'm just not wanting to leave the house today, and I'm like, okay, we'll do it later. I mean, we've
yeah,
been
literally.
literally been on record podcast for a month now or something. So like, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, whenever they want.
I waited until I wanted to make my hair look amazing.
There you go. So being a hairdresser, I've done a lot of weddings. I can pretty much predict how long the marriage will last by how big the wedding is. By how bridezilla she is, by how special she has to feel on her special day, because you ain't setting yourself up for nothing but a letdown.
Oh yeah.
Because let's talk about it. Marriage is work. It's work.
Mm-hmm.
You agree. You love somebody enough to work through it.
It's an agreement. It
is
like there's a certain level of chemistry.
Oh yeah,
physical chemistry, science, all this.
Yes.
But then it becomes a choice.
Soul contract for sure. But yeah,
there's so much that we could talk that we're talking about, and I love this.
The more grand the wedding,
we should
the
talk
more,
about it.
Yeah, we will. The more the heirs in the wedding, and to be the pretty princess for one day, honey, just go straight to the shadow work. Do not pass go. Straight to the shadow box and start working.
Can we talk about being chosen? Can we talk about that?
Like being chosen, like
I don't know,
as starseeds or light workers or light
in relational settings, because I feel like right now that's something that, well, I'm choosing myself.
And that's the best choice
I'm
you can
just
make.
choosing myself because I'm like, you know what? Even if my ego wants it, or like my body wants temporary, pleasure, instant gratification, I'm aware that that's not going to make me happy long term.
Well, see, I woke up in 2008 when I made the choice to put myself first, to actually love myself.
On September 4th.
And
I love that we're recording on this September. This is all in alignment.
Synchronicities. I've been in synchronicity for like a year and a half now, so that's synchronicities. They just happen all the time. Synchronicity, I mean, like when you are flowing with the universe instead of existing within it, you flow with the energy of the universe. So you'll start seeing 111, 222, 333. For me, synchronicity came after I was at Hippie Fest vending, and I went to God and came back down because he told me he was going to give me a gift. And when I came back down to my body, I was literally speaking a language I didn't understand.
Yeah, light
language. Moving my hands ways I didn't know. And so he gave me light code. And so then I came back, I went to a gathering at the park, and then Joe and I went down to the point, all magical places and magical things. And I was standing there, and it was like the wind was flowing with me, like the star, everything was moving, like the energy was flowing through me. And I literally looked at John and I said, for the first time in my life, I'm in synchronicity. And I knew what it meant without having to Google it. I was like, for the first time, I feel the universe flowing with me, like.
And then I feel like once you're in that flow, right? And also once you're choosing yourself, we talk about the vibration of love and of being abundant. And it's like, I'm like, just the manifestation that's
delusional. I am the luckiest girl in the world.
So I, put it out there, like, I want to travel, I want to do this, and I'm, manifested a trip to California. I've never been there. And also a trip to see my family, just because, my job situation shifted, and usually I go out there once a year, and I wasn't sure how that was going to happen. And just because I'm on a sober path, I'm doing the right thing, I'm, showing up for people.
Now we need to manifest Joshua Tree and Mount Shasta, 2 places.
I want to go there, and also Oregon, Colorado, Peru, Arizona. Those are some other places, so we'll just speak them out there. But
we're just gonna.
It's like just tapping into this new idea of abundance as well. Like I used to think it was only like money, but it's literally everything. Like I came here, and you were showing me all your stuff on your altar, which Anita's house is amazing, by the way. I love being here.
It's
But
like
she's like,
Genie's bottle.
yeah, she's like, oh, look at this, look at this. Do you need some sage? And I was like, I actually do need some sage. And it's like, you never know. It's like, I don't know. I just think it's amazing. But I keep looking over here because Anita channels light code. I know I put on the graphic that she is a color and light code activator. So she'll speak light code to people to activate them. She has done this for me
to heal them
and heal as well. And now she writes it and paints it as well. So you should just lift that up to the camera.
So this was super blue full moon hurricane light code that came through. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, it was all of like 5 minutes because it was just coming through. And I have another friend that we have, and she was writing light code unbeknownst to me when I sent her a message. She was the first person that I physically light coded. And because my spirit guides were like, hey, you got to light code this person. And so I met up with her. Well, was at that.
Yeah.
When
coalescence.
Yeah. And so I light coded her, and literally we could feel the sparks fly, and we both could see the energy. And but she was when I sent her a message, she said, don't think I'm crazy. I'm supposed to speak light code to you. She's like, sends me pages of light code that she's written. She said, I started this a couple of months ago. I haven't told anybody. And so I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then like recently after a circle, on the way home, I was focusing in on her and like speaking it. And all of a sudden in the ride in the car, she started speaking it because I was literally like transmuting it to her. And so now she's speaking it some. Most people that I have light coded are either speaking it or singing it or drawing it.
After you light coded me, I feel like I started doing my podcast again and just
and abundance and manifestation and owning her right, because I took the blockage away is what I did. I was like, oh, I thought I had light coded her before, and she's like, no, you've never light coded me. And I was like, well, you want it right now because I'm getting ready to like help you get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
the last manifestation for me is man. I have man. That's the man. It's crazy. I was talking about
God's
this.
will.
It's like it is God's will.
It's God's
Partnership
will.
Is definitely, it's got to be
when
God's will. Because
you
all
are
these
ready,
other things I am manifesting. I talked about this with Sarah Nicole yesterday too. Like I was like, God, I can manifest trips and jobs and money and clients and things. Like I manifested my paddleboard. I manifested my surfboard. I manifested my bike. I manifested my dog. I manifested I just got chills.
You did not want to manifest.
I got chills because I was like, well, why can't I've manifested my move to South Carolina, my job to get here. Where's my man?
You manifested your dog too.
I did manifest my dog, straight up. I wrote that story about how I got Charlie. So yeah, I had a dream about a dog. And I woke up and I was like, I want a dog. And that
she wasn't a dog person.
That night, no, I had cats until then. And I do love cats as well, but I mean, Charlie's my boy. But yeah, met the dog that night, came home with me, had a dog. Like that is how fast I manifest. But it's like, yeah, this partnership. But it's like, why am I not manifesting that yet?
Because you're not supposed to manifest that. That's supposed to just happen when you're ready.
When they're ready too. Yeah. Because he must be in the same type of work on self cycle that I'm
looking for your twin flame. We all are as light workers. Light workers, all the twin flames are supposed to find each other, but we have to come together when we're not damaged. We have to come together when we have unconditional love for self. Like the mission since 2008, waking up, was about the collective energy, rising the collective energy, rising the collective energy, the we being the one, like everybody tapped into collective consciousness. I talk about this all the time, where God in his magnificence created all these worlds and universes and beings, and he split himself up into singular atoms so he could experience the creation in all forms. And I say God, he, she, both, omnipresent,
whatever,
source, whatever it is you identify with.
Which is part of the podcast too. What is it to you? It's everything and
Father,
anything.
mother, God. It's my father and my mother.
It's everything,
both.
right?
It's everything.
There's a quote in AA literature that's basically like God is everything or God is nothing. And it is something that although like I would go
Pascal.
into the darkness, right? I would drink and this and that. I never forgot that.
Do you know the philosopher Pascal?
No.
Pascal has a philosophy, and it's my favorite one to have a debate with atheists. I love to do that because I can do it and not trigger them and actually make them like,
atheist is the non-believer.
Yeah.
And agnostic is I don't know. Right?
Well, the atheist usually is a hate on for God because they think God didn't do something or did something. And so it's a hate on for God usually. And so usually I'm trying to pinpoint, so when do you feel like God disappointed you or let you down, or when do you feel like,
and then that's where you can find the that's the disconnect.
That's
too.
the disconnect too.
So and that's why some people do turn to alcohol and drugs and so
Pascal was the philosopher, and his philosophy was this: I'd rather spend my whole life believing in something and die and that be it, than spend my whole life believing in nothing and die and find out I was wrong.
Oh, see, you know what? That reminds me of this fortune cookie that I got the other day, and I put it in my book, my book. It's like, it's basically like, if you don't stand for something, then you'll fall for anything. And I have the Joan of, you just like I think we have the Blu-ray energy, which is that Joan of Arc energy. That's like, I'll die for what I believe. We've talked about this on 333.
Yeah.
DNA Wake Up. Me and Dan talked about that energy, because it's like, I have the warrior energy. Like
without a doubt. Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like we talked about so many different things today. Like, should we circle back on any of them? Like, we still have a couple minutes for sure. But
let's see. So
we talked about
tie-dyes. Yeah. So tie-dyes. So this thing started happening when I downloaded the light code. And so if you don't understand what light code is, if you don't understand what light code energy is or light language is,
maybe you should try to explain.
I would just give you an example. I'll just speak some for you. And this will be, so this will be a message for the collective. And it's about, this light code is about busting out and opening up your lower chakras, because I feel like a lot of people are stuck in the roots.
Oh yeah. Or they're in
the solar plexus.
The dense.
They're in that dense energy, that low vibration energy. So they're stuck like in the root and sacrum, and where we carry all our mama trauma and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna speak a quick light code just to like bust that open for you. So if you just close your eyes.
I'm gonna do it.
Yes. And I'm gonna do it to Lindsay, but it's for you too. And so it works that way. Unbeknownst to me until I did Lauren Calloway's podcast and realized it could be a remote thing. And I was like, whoa, okay, good. Now we can do remotely. So you're going to close your eyes and you're going to take a couple of deep breaths. And I want you to just kind of clear your mind. And I want you to focus in on that little pin light of white light. Sometimes it'll look like a dot, a circle, a triangle, whatever it looks like to you. It's your third eye. That's what it is. When you see that little bit of light when your eyes are closed. And just nod when you get it. Okay, she's got it. What did you like to do?
Okay, so I like saw myself like with a crown
because
on.
I've already done this on you once and you're already busted through that.
Yeah.
That's why.
So I saw myself with a crown on, and I just so much, just like waves of light going down, like just my whole body.
Yes.
And so that felt really good. The first time I heard light language was in Pennsylvania at this galactic gathering that my friend Patty had brought me to. Shout out to Sean Jones. He was on my podcast. He's amazing. I heard him speak it, and I knew him.
Sounds familiar to what I just spoke?
Yeah, it's very familiar. And a bunch of them were speaking it there. And that's how Sean and I became friends. I was like, I know that line. I've heard that before, but I had never heard it on Earth, like here.
Yeah.
But him and I have been friends ever since, and he's a Blu-ray too.
Makes sense.
It's interesting because I haven't tried to speak light language, but when we were all at the point that night, I was singing like shamanic tones, and I cleared blockages from
8-8 portal. We were,
yes.
we saw an Anubis run by.
Yeah.
Explain that to us.
Yeah.
And she was over here singing shamanics and
shamanic tone
releasing frequencies. And me and my husband and our friend Sarah Ortega, we saw an orange globe, like an orb, like our friends in the sky, and it just appeared and it just flashed and left.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing, magical night. There were definitely portals and doorways open. And I had done, so for that event, I had dyed a tapestry. Well, it was actually a tablecloth, and it was a light code activation for the altar,
for
the portal. And
that was such a, that event was so amazing for me because it was an event that I went to where I wasn't healing from some dusty ass man. Like I was literally there just for myself, to receive for myself, and it was amazing. And then all this stuff has been we're not even a month out of that, and I've manifested California and Wisconsin and just my Rose Priestess mentorship came through. It's like been really amazing and powerful. So
the tie-dyes with the light code. Now that you understand what light code is, there's a thing called light language art, which is the painting, the writing,
and the tie-dyes.
Because I go into a transit state, and when I'm doing them, from the folding to the dyeing to the rinsing, I'm speaking light code into them, and Reiki, I'm giving the energy. So when you get one of my tie-dyes and you wear it, and she could tell you because she has one, she wears it. When you get it and you wear it,
I have a dress.
You feel that intention that I put in them with the light code. Like you will, all eyes on you.
And you can see faces in them too.
But you can feel the energy and all eyes on you. Like when you walk in, it is just because it's resonating your vibration and your frequency at a higher level. It's lifting you up, which is why I do them.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like I know when I do dyes who the dye is meant for, but I may not know that until the person walks in my vending booth and they're looking at one thing and I'm like, oh, wait a second, I got something for you. And I'll pull it out and they're like, oh, it won't fit me. I'm like, go in my dressing room and try it on. They put it on and it says, I feel amazing. And I was like, because your image was in my head as belonging to this item, which is why
that's why I love your work so much, because like that's kind of how I order things from Sarah too. It'll be like, just channel it for me, because then you're using using your skills and talents to create
this,
and then it's not just like
this channel for me. This was what came to me with synchronicity. This was my shadow work birthday mala that was created in my Jupiter placement for my abundance.
What's your Jupiter in? Mine's in Aries. That's my abundance mala. It's like she made that a Jupiter in Aries.
Why am I thinking? I don't know. I have to look it up.
Yeah,
because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I can look it up because that's gonna bug me. Like I know, but like they don't want me to tell you what it is because they put block on my brain sometimes. They're like, no, you can't tell people that. That kind of crap. So let's see.
So can we revisit the manifestation again?
Yeah. My Jupiter is actually in my first house Libra because everything's in my first house.
I was going to say, it was feeling like Libra.
Yeah, my Jupiter's in Libra.
Mine is in Aries.
John's Jupiter. I think John's Jupiter is in Libra.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's in Jupiter.
So you think that we can manifest material things, but our partners, God is in control?
I don't think that we should manifest partners, because who you are today is not who you are tomorrow. You're always a work in progress. Always. And so if you put your intention, on manifesting your partner today, it won't be your partner that you need 2 days from now, 5 days from now, 5 months from now, 1 year from now.
So then what is the key?
The key?
Letting go.
No, the key is God's will. Source's will. I want to put myself in divine hands. Okay, so for a long time, every day, this is what I do. Before my feet hit the street and the devil says, oh shit, she's up. Because that's what he says with me. Because I have no fear with him. And I'm like, I have no fear because fear is the ultimate illusion. And he just plugged in and I busted that molecule. Because after synchronicity, you go to everything as well. And then you go to fear is the ultimate illusion because it does not exist. It's what keeps you plugged in. So I don't have any fear and I'm not scared of dark. You know, like I know the light will always come and always does.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, here's an interesting thing. Dark matter in our realm is actually light matter in another realm. So there really is no darkness.
That's really
It's just another
interesting.
dimension. So it's not absence of light because it's in another dimension. The light is there. So it's dark.
Kind of like
here.
if you think about the Stranger Things upside down, but that's like
Exactly.
a whole other.
Yeah, that we could have multiple
I
stories.
feel like
of
we could
podcasts.
have. We probably should have more.
We'll
podcasts.
just how about we just
We'll
do,
just have to have a theme.
we'll just do
next
like
time.
once a month. We'll do a
Yeah,
theme of what our
just have
podcast is
Anita
gonna be.
on top of Tuesday
Yeah.
once a month.
So before my feet hit the street and the devil says, oh shit, she's out. I first of all thank Father Mother for giving me another day to be here because growing old is a privilege. It is not a God-given right. And to be in our meat sacks for as long as we are and to reside here so we can get the human experiences that we don't understand on the other side. You know what I mean? The things that evolve and enlighten and grow our souls to give us that beautiful transcendent ascendance. You know, we volunteered to be here for the ascendance. It's never been seen or done before. So it's pretty miraculous that we're here. And of course we're warriors because that's who got picked was all the damn warriors.
Yeah.
But so I put my free will down because I know it's like a double-edged sword. So I surrender my free will. Take it.
That's literally like all program stuff.
I know, and I've never been. So I've been doing this for eons. So I say,
and it's a magical way to.
First, I thank him for giving me breath in my body today, for all the blessings that he's bestowed on me, for the health of my family, for having a roof over my head, for having food in my stomach, for having people that I love me, for my animals still being with me, you know, gratitude, blessed gratitude. And then I ask him to take my free will and use me as his warrior, as his megaphone, his mouthpiece, his microphone to do his bidding at his will. And for years with hair, like, because I touch people. And when I touch people, I see things, I hear things, I know things, because I'm paracognitive. So it's like, I have a clairvoyance of knowing. It's like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden I have an Encyclopedia Britannica in my brain and I know, and I know that it's right. So I don't argue with it. So, you know, it's like just that releasing of my free will to do his bidding. And I mean, my husband could attest to this. Some days I come home and I'm so exhausted and I couldn't tell you who I saw or what I talked about because it totally was not me. I was totally a conductor the whole time. I was a channeler.
Yeah.
I'm a channeler
Conduit.
anyway. Yeah, I'm a conduit, but I'm definitely a channeler. My channeling has gone like up since May, April actually. The channeling's been off the chain. And that's with the light language, the light code, with people that aren't here anymore, with other people's spirit guides. And you know, I mean, I've channeled with you like from the beginning, the dragonfly, you know, it was like instantly I was like, hey, this is what they're telling me. And she's like, damn, like it's dead on. And so, but you know, I don't want that free will. So releasing it and just asking for God's will, because here's the pivotal point. God's will is greater than anything you could ever imagine for yourself.
Absolutely.
Anything you could ever imagine.
So I just have to get out of my own way and stop.
You have to get out of your own way.
I love that.
And stop accepting what is like thrown at you, almost like garbage, as a manifestation of a man, because you shouldn't be manifesting a man. Yeah. You should be manifesting the best version of you.
Which I am.
You are.
Like,
and
I feel vibrationally completely different.
Back to that thing where I was like, you know, since 08, it's been about the collective, tapping into the collective and about raising the elevation of the frequency of Mama and Earth and everybody. We're now to a pivotal point. This was a download I got like a couple months ago where we've locked it again for the first time in the history of man, where it locked in for transcendence. And here's what they tell me is that it could take 10 months, 10 years, 10 decades. It all depends on us. But for the first time in this journey, we're not focusing on the we anymore. We're focusing on the me.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When I say we're focusing on the me, we got to get into the shadows. We got to do the work.
We have to do our work.
We have to do our work. It's no more
really
haste. It's no more haste to waste time. We've got to get on it. because the goal is unconditional love for self. I'm not talking about loving yourself. You can love yourself, but you put the conditions of, I'll love myself tomorrow when I lose 5 pounds. I'll love myself when I have that job. I love myself when I get this house. I love myself when my hair looks like this. And then you don't love yourself then because you're still putting stipulations and conditions.
It's just loving yourself as you are right now.
Louis, who y'all can't see, but my dragon, my dog, Louis.
He loves me.
He loves everybody. Dogs are higher beings and they live a lot less than we do because they have it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
They're here to teach us about unconditional love. And they have unconditional love for self, but they have unconditional love for us because who goes out and works and takes them for their walks and who feeds them and makes sure all their needs are met and all they have to do is love you unconditionally. They're teaching you how to love yourself unconditionally.
Mm.
They manifest everything they need.
Mm-hmm.
They're teaching you about abundance. They're teaching you about a manifestation. They are your pivotal teachers in animal form here because they already have it figured out. That's why they're higher beings. John and I are always like, who's the master? Who's the dog?
Yeah, you know, honestly, yeah.
You know, like Louis gets happy when he gets his leash and walks himself because at that point he thinks his work with us is done and he's leading us with the leash, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Like he's making sure we get to where we need to go. And he's like, yay, my work is done. Look at me. I got my humans in line. You know,
oh my God.
So you don't manifest the man, you surrender and you work on you and you just ask for God's will. And that's the timing, like September 4th, 2008 for him and I. And it still was 9 months later because neither one of us was ready. But when we both were at this pivotal growth place of unconditionally loving ourselves, it was like, bam. And it was bam. And it was like this. And people like, you have lost your mind. What do you mean? And then I'm married. And they're like, what the hell? And honey, we've been together for 14 years.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm so glad that I'm here today. I'm so glad that we showed up so authentically, even though we both didn't want to do this. This turned into an amazing conversation. Yeah. And if people want to reach out to you, how do they reach out?
They can reach out to me on Instagram, Deadchickdyeing. They can email me at innershaman1111@gmail. So, and today I will be doing my first TikTok reel. Yeah. Of light code activation. The universe has like pigeonholed me in the corner and said, you must do this. Like I don't like to be the center of attention, which is like kind of funny because everybody thinks that I do and I don't. I'm just one of those magnet people, like you are too. Like when we walk in a room, we can have a hair mess, 100 pounds more, disheveled, look like shit, and all eyes on. And it's just that magnetism of being a generator. Yeah. It's just that conduit energy. And so, like, for so long, I've been downing it and numbing it and dimming it for safety purposes, because that was what I did shadow work last year, and then I got smudged by a shaman, and then I realized what the night terrors were about, and I got to heal the pivotal wound of the unworthiness. And after that, it was like, you know what? I'm just going to hand out sunglasses. If it's too bright for you,
same. I don't care.
You just don't have to wear some shades, baby.
Later.
And that's what they're doing. Like, I can't hide anymore. No. So,
well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Inner Shaman 1111.
Okay, yeah. I'm excited to see. I still don't have TikTok. I'm resistant.
Okay, so let me explain how it came to me that it had to be TikTok. It was really, you're involved in this.
I'm not surprised.
Me either. So we did DNA Wake Up 333, and it was the three of us, and we went to places that maybe had a little conspiracy, maybe had a little government, maybe had a little bullshit, because we were just being 100% real, me, you, and Dan. And where our first podcast was doing relatively well from nobody knowing us, the second one took a little bit longer, but the third one went nowhere, stagnant, stalled. And it was at that moment that I realized the control that is over Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like, we got flagged on YouTube for saying something.
We did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and we even took a few things out because we were trying not to get flagged so we could get the message out. And so, I was like, it came to me just like that claircognitive thing. And I was like, why is the US government against TikTok? It's like, why are they against it? Like, we know China owns a third of the country right now, like beachfront properties, buying up farmlands. That's not conspiracy. That's fact. Look it up. And there's money exchanged between the governments for different things. So there's a relationship there. So what is it about TikTok? It's not about them spamming us or getting our financial information. They could buy us 10 times over. I mean, seriously, it's not censored. The algorithms are not set up to take you down. I feel like the Chinese government said, oh, you think you're of the people, for the people, by the people, we the people, your constitution thinks you have freedom of speech and they don't realize this is all propaganda. At least we claim our propaganda is propaganda. So you know what? We're going to give your people a tool where they can speak what they want to, speak their truth. And you can't censor it. Let's see what you do with that.
So it's not censored at all?
It's not really censored. It's not taken down and an algorithm thrown at it where someone can't find something that might be contrary to something that the government wants you to believe.
That's interesting.
Why do you think it's full of light workers, starseeds, light code, light activation, awakening, transcendence, esoterics? Because it's a platform we can actually speak. And so that's when I was like, okay, so I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid with the don't go on there, like once I busted it down, why is it that they don't want you here? There must be a good reason for it. And all the reasons they're giving me don't sound like a good reason. It's because they don't control the algorithms.
Interesting.
So I think you got to get on TikTok. Just don't put your bank information in. I mean, hello.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do that anyway.
I don't do that anyway. So yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Because it's a platform where I can speak and speak freely. Yeah, I'll put it on Instagram, I'll put it on Facebook, I'll put it on YouTube, I'll do all that stuff. But I feel like the place that it actually gets out is TikTok. And the way that it gets into the other ones is from people sharing it from TikTok. How many times do you see a reel from TikTok shown on Facebook or Instagram?
True.
Like all the time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want your hair done.
Yes.
Anita does hair. And Instagram, and I have Facebook, Instagram, and it's To Die For Studio, and there is an active link where you can book an appointment. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for being
and if you want to buy some tie-dye, 2 Blondes and a Moonchild in North Myrtle Beach, or my Instagram, or come see me in Salisbury, North Carolina on October the 14th and 15th for Hippie Fest.
Nice.
When me and my longest life BFF, Lori, who I taught to do tie-dye, will be vending. As we have for 3 or 4 years now. And so come walk to the tent, tell me you saw this, and I will be happy to give you a in-person light code activation.
Love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in today, whether you're watching it or just listening to it.
Yes.
We appreciate you and wishing you a blessed rest of your week.
Happy Labor Day.
Labor Day.